I continue my research in attempts to learn how to create content that helps people be more ungenocide towards each other, which is to say that living in the open world, accepting the adversarial relationships therein, and lifting the adversarial relationships as a worthy and necessary opponent. That's what I want to do. That's the message I want to give out there, and I'm trying to learn how the best to do that. Now, chapter 3, as opposed to chapters 1 and 2, are incredibly juicy because they lay out the 5 elements of integral conflict. And I'm only going to be talking about the first, and I'm not going to give the full context about the 4 quadrants. I'm going to talk about the 4 quadrants directly. And it's basically a way to visualize 2 dualities at once. And when I say dualities, I mean things like feels and reals, also known as subjective objective. Usually when you talk about a given phenomenon, at best, you will tag, I'm seeing this from the subjective point of view. I'm seeing this from the objective point of view. I'm focusing on intent. I'm focusing on behavior. I'm focusing on interiors. I'm focusing on exteriors. If you're lucky to even see that, see those assumptions labeled on what the hell you're talking about. But the 4 quadrants sees feels and reals as one axis on top of another axis of one and many, which is to say that like you are either talking about an individual thing in a vacuum, you're pausing the world in all its dynamicism and talking about a singular hypothetical thing, a single agent, or you unpause the world and see that agent interacting with other agents in its environment. It's either one or the other, on top of fields and rails. And you put those 2 things together, and you get the 4 quadrants, which is the fields and rails mapped against the one and the many. And then you get the individual, the singular agent's interior. And in the 4 quadrants, you map that to the upper left. And then you get the collective interior, the many agents, many interiors. That's lower left. And then you have the individual exterior, that's upper right. And then you have the collective exterior, that's lower right. So feels and reals, subjective, objective, are mapped to the left and right. And then the one to many are mapped to top, bottom. And when you do those 2 things at once, you get a really fruitful way to talk about a lot of disciplines and see how they relate to each other. And I'm going to go into that into the next videos. Again, this comes from Ken Wilber's integral theory. I'm trying to be as brisk and as pointy as possible as to avoid the glazing of eyes. And I think I did a pretty good job. I probably can do more graphical things, but I am definitely planning to do that in upcoming videos. Again, this is a summary of chapter 3, part 1, and they're laying out the 5 elements of integral conflict. And the first thing is the 4 quadrants, which are the laying out of basically squares, referential frames of how to talk about a given phenomena, whether you're emphasizing the singular subjective or the plural subjective, or the singular objective or the plural objective. And those are the 4 quadrants. Okay, I will continue tomorrow. Stay engaged. That's it.